This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Good morning, my Real News Media TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning for June 29, 2023, chefs murder a suspected hit. A go-getter gone too soon. That's the general sentiment of friends and the family, overcome with grief on learning that budding entrepreneur, family man, and a former Jamaica Defense Force, Corporal Frederick Beckford, was murdered late Tuesday. Beckford was killed when armed men opened fire on him at his home at Calabar Mills, Kingston 20. Beckford, 35, is the owner of Jay's Knife and Fork restaurant located on Constant Spring Road. The establishment remained closed on Wednesday. Reports from the Constant Spring police are that Beckford arrived home about 9:20 p.m. when he was pounced upon. His attackers escaped in a waiting motor vehicle. The police were summoned and Beckford was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Childhood friend Peter Gay Patrick told the news that she grew up with Beckford in St. Mary. He was a go-getter person. Nothing was considered hard for him. He loved to cook from a tender age. His mother owned a cook shop in Lebanon Square, where she catered for the school and the community, and oftentimes he was there to assist her, Patrick said. Patrick said she and others would miss the energy and vibe the St. Mary High alum had. He never forgot where he came from and always wanted to give a hand whatever way he could. Even with the opening of his restaurant, he preferred to employ people from his community, Patrick told the news. She said one of his favorite phrases was a reminder to others to never forget from whence they came. Reportedly, Beckford served 13 years in the JDF before he followed his heart and ventured into opening his own restaurant. The news was told that his parents and the siblings, who currently reside overseas, were struggling to come to terms with the news of his death. Residents of Calabar Mills were also shocked by the nature of the attack and told the news that their community was not used to such incidents. Crime happens just about everywhere, but not in here. This is a peaceful neighborhood. We're saddened by the death of the promising young man. His killers should be brought to justice, one resident said. A woman who claimed to be the mother of Beckford's young child took to social media declaring that their daughter needed her father. Superintendent Tamika Service, Divisional Commander for the St. Andrew North Police, said yesterday that the chef seemingly had been targeted. At this time, investigation is ongoing. There is nothing new at this time, based on the fact that as he drove home, he was approached by two men who fired shots at him. I am not sure you classify that as a hit, which we do. What was reported to us is that the men were actually waiting on him to reach. As soon as he reached home, they pounced on him, firing several shots, hitting him, Service told the news. The Corporate Communications Unit confirmed the reports. The latest major crime statistics released by the Jamaica Constabulary Force show that murder in the division as of June 24 is declining by as much as 30.3%. Since the start of the year, 23 murders have been recorded, when compared to 33 for the same period in 2022. Shootings, injured persons, and the break-ins in the corporate area police division are also down. Robberies have shown a 10% increase, and the reports of rape are on par with last year's figures. The national murder tally stands at 628, a 13% reduction year-on-year. Trelawney carpenter charged with human trafficking. A Trelawney carpenter accused of keeping a woman as a sex slave has been charged with human trafficking. 37-year-old Shamarie Spencer was arrested during an operation on Wednesday. He is also charged with false imprisonment, possession of a prohibited weapon, assault at a common law, assault occasioning bodily harm, and benefiting from human trafficking. Reports are that Mr. Spencer offered the woman a place to stay between March last year and February this year. Mr. Spencer allegedly beat and threatened her with a gun and locked her inside the house to prevent her from leaving. He is also accused of taking several men to the house to have sexual intercourse with the woman for payment. Mr. Spencer is set to appear in the Clarkstown Parish Court on July 7. Separating ministers from MPs being considered under constitutional reform. As the Constitutional Reform Committee deliberates on moving the country to a republic, consideration is being given to separating the role of Minister of Government from that of a Member of Parliament. Under the current bicameral system of government, ministers are drawn from both the House of Representatives and the Senate. Dr. David Henry, a member of the Constitutional Reform Committee, suggests that there should be a separation or at least a limiting of the number of parliamentarians who should be ministers of government to eliminate the division of attention that now obtains. In furthering the argument, Dr. Henry cited a 1994 memorandum written by later former Prime Minister Michael Manley, which stated that, ideally, members should be able to concentrate virtually full-time on one job or the other. Mr. Manley further suggested it is important that whoever performs either or both functions should be the direct product of the electoral process, meaning the person should be directly elected. Dr. Henry also shared the concerns about what he called a prime ministerial dictatorship under Jamaica's current parliamentary system.
I actually feel that we have a prime ministerial dictatorship. I'm not speaking of a particular prime minister, I'm speaking of a role. The executive is controlled by the prime minister and so is the parliament. And so therefore, anything can happen in a sense within certain limits. And it is my view that we actually need to look at the role of parliamentarians. Thinking through whether parliamentarians should in fact be ministers of government, and perhaps there should be a separation or a limiting of number of parliamentarians who should be ministers of government in the executive. These are the kinds of things I think that as a people we need to think through and ask ourselves, based on our history and what we have experienced, what is it that we want to ensure accountability and transparency, and that we get a true republic, which is government by the people, for the people. Ideally, members should be able to concentrate virtually full-time on one job or the other. However, it is important that whoever performs either or both functions should be the direct product of the electoral process. In other words, we should elect both of them. Those are the words of Michael Manley back in 1994. Presently, under our Constitution, a Commonwealth citizen is entitled to vote in our elections. And a Commonwealth citizen can include somebody from very far away who is not necessarily Jamaican. And so we are looking at that right now. We are favoring a position where Jamaicans can vote. However, there has to be a certain residential requirement. They'd have to be in the country for a certain period of time. And certainly if you want to be in the parliament and represent the country, you ought to live here for a certain period of time.
Cops charged for robbery of Chinese nationals to go to court today. The two policemen who are charged in connection with a multi-million-dollar robbery of two Chinese nationals in downtown Kingston earlier this month are to appear in the Home Circuit Court on Thursday. It is understood that the Director of Public Prosecutions preferred a voluntary bill of indictment for the case to be tried in the Home Circuit Court instead of the Kingston and the St. Andrew Parish Court. It is being alleged that the complainants were at their wholesale on June 6 when the policemen dressed in plainclothes turned up and showed their identification cards. The policemen allegedly said they had a warrant for the property to be searched. A search was conducted of the premises, and it is alleged that $8.5 million along with US $40,000 were removed. The complainants were allegedly told to drive behind the police vehicle, but while doing so, it sped off, leaving the complainants. It was reported that the policemen were nabbed on June 8 at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston, where they were believed to have been attempting to flee the island. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.